It really starts in 1796 with the birth of Ross Winans. Ross was eventually employed by the fledgling B&O Railroad, and one of his first projects was to work with a New York inventor by the name of Cooper, and in building a very small steam engine, and that was called the Tom Thumb. The Russians in the 1830s had decided they were going to build a railroad from Moscow to St. Petersburg.
And they had not had a railroad there before?
No, they had no railroads whatsoever. So they sent two engineers over to America to find out what they could about the industry.
It was commissioned, the railroad was commissioned by Tsar Nicholas I?
It was Nicholas I decided in, I guess it was 1839, that the railroad would be built. They had wanted Ross Winans to go over to build all the locomotives. And we're talking about 200 locomotives and 2,500 railroad cars.
Were they paying in rubles?
That's right, I know. But Ross Winans had just built his big factory. His business was booming. He had a large number of patents for railroading improvements. And so he said to his oldest son, Tom, he said, Tom, you go over to Russia and do this. So Thomas Winans left in early 1843 with a locomotive, actually.
Hi, welcome back. We're talking about the Winans family with Rick and Steve and Edward. And Edward, I'd like you to talk to us, if you would, about Celeste, who marries Thomas Winans, and her Russian life there.
Yes. As you'd expect, Thomas Winans, when he comes back to the United States, having just made an immense fortune and a new bride, the first thing he wants to do is bring her the comforts that she knew in Europe. And called Fayetteville. It was named after the Marquis de Lafayette for recognition during the Revolution. And the first thing he has done to the house, which was originally a very simple federal house, is essentially quadruples it in size. And the summer house essentially just was a little structure built to house the marble statue, life-size, of Pandora from Greek mythology. And it's at the moment when she's opening the box, which is where we get Pandora's box from, and she lets out all the evils in the world.
But at the end,
yes.
there is hope.
Yes, that's the one thing that she does thankfully have. After all the creatures get out, that's the one thing that doesn't escape is hope.
Rick, if you would tell us what happens with the family's not move necessarily, but their summer move. Where did they go when they wanted to leave the heat of Baltimore City?
They would summer in their house in West Baltimore, Oreanda, on what was called the Crimea Estate. They would spend probably almost maybe 3 months.
Rick has been instrumental in keeping the Winans family alive here in Baltimore. And he, in the Oreanda house, he houses an awful lot of memorabilia. Steve, you came down from Newport, and if you could explain to us how that Newport connection with your family consists.
Not quite sure how they discovered Newport, but Thomas Winans and Celeste started summering there around 1850, and they stayed at a big resort hotel, which was very popular amongst people. And then after Thomas's wife died in 1861, Tom built a villa right on a point of land, sticking out into the ocean, and that's where he spent a good part of the rest of his life.